With CM Punk's AEW exit seemingly edging closer and closer and closer, what is the Chief Content Officer of WWE Triple H's current stance on a return to WWE for the former World Heavyweight Champion? We'll talk about that. Plus, 2 stars rumored to be part of the Wyatt6 faction have been booked for independent dates. Does that mean they're not going to be part of the Bray Wyatt faction on SmackDown moving forward? Austin Theory is Mr. Money in the Bank. We've got an update on a creative pitch for how he could cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Karl, we've got an update on the New Japan Pro Wrestling Never Openweight Championship controversy going on at the moment. Triple H seemingly cancels a long-time running pay-per-view. Tommaso Ciampa undergoes surgery on his hip. We've got the ratings for this week's edition of NXT. Plus, Sami Zayn opens up on original plans for the Bloodline. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment, and this one does cross over a little bit with All Elite Wrestling. Of course, last night on Dynamite, you would have seen the teasers about the Elite returning to AEW television very soon. They were backstage as well in Virginia last night. We've also heard an update recently about CM Punk's version of events on that infamous night at the beginning of September in Chicago with that brawl-out, the fallout of brawl-outs, that backstage brawl between CM Punk, Ace Steel, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, etc. We have heard rumors and updates about CM Punk possibly having his contract bought out by All Elite Wrestling to facilitate his departure from the company. We've also heard Wrestling Inc. report CM Punk's side of things about the door being kicked down once again. His dog Larry being injured. We've also heard updates on a potential non-compete clause being negotiated at the moment. So there's so much going on. And that non-compete clause has opened up the discussion of, well, would CM Punk want to return to WWE? And even if he did want to return to WWE upon his inevitable exit from AEW, would WWE even want him in the company? With Triple H, who is running the show right now, he's a chief content officer. He is the head of talent relations. So he runs the contracts, he signs the contracts, etc. On top of that, he's in charge of creative. So he's writing the television shows. It's his creative vision that's moving forward with WWE. So would Triple H even be willing to have CM Punk back in the company? Well, an update has emerged on the possibility of CM Punk returning to WWE under the current Triple H regime. While CM Punk is currently recovering from a tricep injury, there is a lot of uncertainty surrounding his pro wrestling future, following his alleged involvement in the post-All-Out backstage brawl. There has been some speculation that Punk could return to WWE, amazingly, after he walked out on the company in 2014. This is following reports that AEW is still in talks with Punk regarding a potential contract buyout. Now, a lot has changed since CM Punk walked out of World Wrestling Entertainment back in 2014, with Triple H now overseeing the creative as the company's chief content officer. Speaking with Give Me Sport, the reliable WrestleVotes noted that in July, they were told that Triple H wants nothing to do with the former AEW World Champion, indicating that Triple H's animosity towards CM Punk has, quote, softened a little bit since then. WrestleVotes noted, quote, I was told, pretty straightforward, that Triple H wants nothing to do with CM Punk and even less to do with Phil Brooks. Well, that's what I was told, and that was July. I did ask over the last couple of days, and it has softened a little bit from what I understand. I still think there's animosity. I still think there's a lot of pieces that need to be picked up between the two of them specifically. But Hunter learned from Vince, and Vince made amends with everybody. So to say that door's closed is ridiculous on anybody's part, especially in this war that's happening right now. I would say never, absolutely. Now, the feeling is with this CM Punk possible WWE return is that, first of all, did WWE really need it? They don't need it. They don't need a spike in their programming. They don't need a spike in terms of ratings. They're doing fine. And there's a lot of buzz on the product right now, and the product's better than what it was. Now, could WWE do with CM Punk? Well, they could always do with someone that can sell merchandise, and they could always do with people that can get people talking. They could always do with people that will get attention. And certainly there is unfinished business with CM Punk in WWE. He never got a send-off, and the way he left the company is still talked about to this day. On top of that, CM Punk, I would probably think, feels like he has unfinished business with pro wrestling as well, considering that the way his situation ended in AEW wasn't pretty, and and it was messy to say the least. And you know, there is a feeling, isn't there, that CM Punk may never need to work again if he gets the payout that seemingly he's going to get from AEW. He signed a multiple-year contract, so if AEW is looking to buy out that contract, we're talking several $1 million. Obviously, he'd miss out on merchandise revenue, he'd miss out on pay-per-view bonuses, etc., etc. But he's going to receive a substantial sum of money in terms of his AEW buyout. The biggest obstacle here is, as the report mentions, the animosity that's there between Triple H and CM Punk. Triple H was in that infamous meeting in which CM Punk said to Vince McMahon, I'm going home, I'm leaving, I'm walking out. Triple H, if you believe Punk's account of the events and Punk's account of several things, has become quite questionable in recent days, weeks and months. Nevertheless, CM Punk said that Triple H was in that meeting, and Triple H said to CM Punk, hey, I'll leave. I'll leave you and Vince to this. And he said, no, you stay in here. You need to stay in here. And allegedly, according to Punk's accounts of things, he said in the meeting, I resent you for not putting me over. I resent you for squashing me when I was white hot back in 2011. He's referring to when CM Punk was white hot, was red hot, did the pipe bomb and all that kind of stuff. And then he faced Triple H at Night of Champions in 2011, and Triple H won. Can you believe it? The retired guy beat the guy that was red hot at the time, and it was bad business and it was bad booking. Now, Triple H allegedly had said to Punk at the time, well, that's not my call, it's Vince McMahon's call. And I think Triple H is being fair there, because Vince McMahon did, had the final say at that period of time. I'm sure that maybe Triple H might have said things to Vince McMahon, and we know Triple H from back in the day, by all accounts, didn't like CM Punk, and they did have animosity even when they were working with each other, let alone on that final infamous day in CM Punk's tenure with the company. So I would think at this point, does Triple H need CM Punk back? No. It's not a case whereby, for instance, this time last year, or just a little bit before this time last year, when CM Punk made his AEW debut, but it was like, wow, AEW could absolutely deal, if they get CM Punk, that could be a game changer. Did it change the game? Not really, not in particular, but it was a big signing, his return to pro wrestling for the first time in 7 years, and it did good business for them, in terms of buy rates, in terms of merchandise, and in terms of ratings. They couldn't sustain it, clearly, but it did well for them. Would it do well for WWE? Of course it would. It would do well, and it's just weighing up risk versus reward, really, isn't it? It's a case of, is it worth bringing him back? Yes, he'll sell t-shirts. Yes, it will get people talking on social media. Yes, it will spike ratings for a short-term period, for maybe 1 or 2 shows, and then it's a case of whether or not we can sustain it. But is it worth it? Is the baggage worth it? Is the drama worth it? And that's the question that only Triple H can answer. I think at this stage, I think CM Punk would return to WWE if the offer was right. He was negotiating with WWE prior to signing with AEW. He said to them, don't play games. They played games, so he decided to go in the AEW direction. So would I say it's never going to happen? That would be a ridiculous thing for me to say, especially this year. So much has happened that we never thought possible in pro wrestling this year, so I can't say. The fact that as of July, it was Triple H doesn't want anything to do with CM Punk or Phil Brooks. And then that was prior to all of this stuff going down in September, which most rational people would say, well, Triple H would look at that and go, I feel absolutely vindicated and justified that I want nothing to do with CM Punk or Phil Brooks. But the businessman might say, there's money to be made. And there's money to be made. And controversy creates cash, and it would certainly be wild. Either way, nothing can happen for a while because CM Punk is still under contract technically to AEW. His exit hasn't been confirmed, and also he is injured. He cannot wrestle until midway through next year anyway. So a surprise CM Punk appearance is not going to happen anytime soon, and maybe that's a good thing for this situation, because maybe it can give Triple H and CM Punk time to figure things out, and maybe it can happen. I don't know, but I can't rule anything out. I would be foolish to. Now, let's talk about the Wyatt6, and two names that have been linked to Wyatt6 recently. This faction, this possible faction, is Vincent and Dutch, former Ring of Honor stars. Now, after an independent booking has just been announced, have two members of the potential WWE faction surrounding Bray Wyatt just been ruled out, with wide speculation that Bray Wyatt will be linked to a faction that may be named Wyatt6, The Circle, of course, Uncle Howdy, Uncle Harper. These are names that have been thrown around since his return to SmackDown. Names have been tossed around wildly. However, a duo that's been constantly thrown out as likely to be joining Wyatt's rumored faction are two stars that have just been announced for an independent booking near the end of next month. Posting their breaking news, Beyond Wrestling wrote on Twitter, quote, "Breaking, Vincent and Dutch will compete at Motherlode on Sunday, November 27 in Somerville, Massachusetts. Tickets go on sale Friday at noon, etc., etc." Well, by no means is this conclusive that Vincent and Dutch have not signed with WWE. Taking a new booking near the end of next month would be a curious move to say the least, if indeed they have signed WWE contracts. Although in previous cases, such as Karrion Kross and Scarlett, bookings were able to be honoured, albeit changed, for those made prior to their WWE returns. But it could be, the only way that this is possible is that you could look at something where you say, well, was this actually agreed way ahead of time? Was this booked in several months ago and just now it's been announced? That is possible, I guess you could say, but we'll have to wait and see if Vincent or Dutch end up appearing alongside Wyatt in WWE after all. Again, Uncle Howdy seemingly appeared on SmackDown on Friday, and there was lots of discussion about if the Righteous could be involved in that. Won't they be involved in that? Again, certainly this is curious, because people would say, well, how on earth would this booking happen if they were involved in this Bray Wyatt stuff? Well, stuff can get booked way ahead of time and only announced closer to the date itself. So that is the only way out of that, but this could be an indicator that they're not involved. Time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see. Austin Theory is Mr. Money in the Bank right now, and a lot of people are questioning, when on earth is he going to cash his briefcase in? Roman Reigns holds both world championships in WWE right now. He's the undisputed Universal Champion, and Austin Theory is not going to be the guy to end that title reign. He previously teased cashing in his briefcase in NXT, going after Bron Breakker's NXT Championship, which did make some sense. But WWE has allegedly discussed doing something brand new with Austin Theory's eventual Money in the Bank cash-in attempt. Theory won the briefcase at this past year's Money in the Bank event after being added to the ladder match as a last-minute entry. In an interview with Give Me Sport, WrestleVotes revealed that there has been an internal pitch for Theory to keep the Money in the Bank briefcase for almost an entire year. Quote, "There is an idea that he is the first guy to wait a full year, like the day of, or let's say night of Money in the Bank next year. That's the storyline. Like, you have to cash this in the next 2.5 hours. You have to cash this in 90 minutes, that kind of thing. I know that's an idea that's on the table. It's unclear whether or not the current plan is for Theory's cash-in to be successful. It would appear his chances are somewhat limited because his best bet of successfully cashing in that Money in the Bank briefcase is Roman Reigns not being champion. And the thing is, we have no idea how long this reign's going to go on for, pun intended. If he's going to face The Rock at WrestleMania next year, it shouldn't be for the championship, but it might be. I could see a situation whereby he does hold the briefcase until close to Money in the Bank, because let's face it, there just isn't going to be the opportunity. Unless they split the title somehow before then, which they might, then maybe on Monday Night Raw he could do something like that. Or otherwise, he's just going to cash in and he's going to lose. And the problem is, he's not being booked like a champion. He just keeps losing on Raw. You know, so talk about all these people that have benefited from Vince McMahon retiring. One person that hasn't is Austin Theory. He's never been booked so badly. So, I mean, I'm not against the concept of it going all the way to Money in the Bank. And you've got 90 minutes, you've got 2.5 hours. Because if you did play the patient game, that's a reason to tune in to Money in the Bank. Is one, let's see who is the person who's going to win the Money in the Bank briefcase again. But two, we're going to see a cash in. We are going to see a cash in that night because time's running out. So that would be fascinating to see. Does WWE have the patience to do that? Historically, no. Vince McMahon wouldn't. But we're living in a different time right now with Triple H being in charge of creative. So anything's possible. Speaking of anything's possible, Karl Anderson still has this New Japan Pro Wrestling dilemma going on, and he has responded to New Japan's statement on the current situation surrounding the Never Openweight Championship. Of course, Anderson was due to defend the championship at New Japan Battle Autumn on November 5th against Hikuleo. Since the announcement of the title defense, though, Anderson has returned to WWE and is now scheduled to wrestle alongside fellow OC members Luke Gallows and AJ Styles against the Judgment Day at Crown Jewel on the very same day in another country. Anderson recently addressed the double booking, arguing it was the fault of New Japan not checking with his agent. New Japan shared a statement noting that if Anderson doesn't turn up for his scheduled title defense against Hikuleo, he'll be stripped of the championship. Well, Anderson took to Twitter to make his position on the title clear, responding to a tweet from his would-be opponent Hikuleo, which said, "No vacancy needed, I'll wait," at Karl Anderson. Anderson responded to the call-out saying, "I'm not vacating anything. I'm the greatest never openweight champion of all time. I'll defend it on my time. Get with my booking agent at the Big LG. I'll see you then, Hikuleo. That's #2sweet." We don't know. We don't know what's going on when it comes to this. Fightful Select had reported that actually the situation was fine. There have always been and still are active plans for Karl Anderson to compete in New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan reportedly expects Anderson to wrestle more dates, and WWE is okay with this, according to the reports. But some of the statements that have been released by New Japan beg to differ. It could all be a work, it must be said. Again, Anderson and Gallows were booked for Wrestle Kingdom in January. That is still up in the air. I do still expect Anderson to drop the Never Openweight Championship at a New Japan show. I don't think they'll vacate the title or anything like that. I think this is part of a way to not do the match at Battle Autumn sort of thing, and they'll do some kind of angle where he maybe sends in a promo or a vignette or something. But he'll drop the championship to Hikuleo at some point, but it's not going to be on November 5th because he's going to be in Saudi Arabia. That's where he's contracted to be, so there's not a lot New Japan can do about that. Hell in a Cell. Now, if you are not a fan of gimmick pay-per-views, you might finally be in luck. Paul Levesque is reportedly planning to cancel a WWE pay-per-view that has been a regular fixture on the calendar for a really long time. According to WrestleVotes, in that same interview with Give Me Sport, Levesque will not be going forward with the annual Hell in a Cell event. WrestleVote explains that the match stipulation means a lot to Triple H, so he no longer wants to have to shoehorn Hell in a Cell matches into his booking just because it's that time of the year. Now, just to be clear here, Levesque isn't eliminating Hell in a Cell matches, just the specific events. We'll have to wait and see if Hell in a Cell, when they happen, the matches throughout the year, if they fit into his booking rather than just a specific time of the year. So we'll have to wait and see. It does line up with previous reports of plans to eliminate numerous gimmick events, although WWE did just announce Elimination Chamber for 2023 in February. And, of course, has Survivor Series War Games coming up in November. So they're not doing away with them completely, but he wants to do away with the Hell in a Cell premium live event, which is good. I mean, look, when they first started doing these, they did them because their pay-per-view business was dying. It was a few years before they moved over to the WWE Network, but the pay-per-view business was dying. So they knew that certain matches had cachet, certain matches had name recognition and brand recognition and brand value. So why not just make a pay-per-view surrounding them so you can tune in and know that in October or whenever it may be in June, you can watch a Hell in a Cell match. The problem is people were invested in Hell in a Cell matches because they were so rare and they were so perfect for storylines that when they did happen, it felt like a big deal. And we have now had so many Hell in a Cell matches that really shouldn't have taken place, feuds that didn't warrant them, feuds that just weren't worth it. And Hell in a Cell should take place once a year, maybe, or once or twice a year, but when the storyline really dictates it, and when it matters, and in these big matches and big moments, and they still have proven in recent years that they can have them in random times when it means something. Like Hell in a Cell match between Edge and Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel last year is a great example of that. It doesn't have to be every single October or June or whenever the pay-per-view is. So I'm glad to hear this because, again, Hell in a Cell is such a great match that it shouldn't be ruined, and you shouldn't know when it's going to happen. It should be a surprise. Tommaso Ciampa, we heard that he was out of action on Monday. It was Johnny Gargano who confirmed this, and he has taken to Twitter to confirm that he indeed underwent surgery. It was actually on Instagram, saying, quote, "The road to recovery begins. It's a familiar road, almost too familiar. Special thanks to Dr. Emblem and his team for taking such incredible care of me. Thanks to the WWE medical team for once again putting me back together. And thank you to my nurses at home for always giving me perspective. It took a while, but we finally found the cause to all of my glute, SI, back pain, a hip labrum that looked like shredded cheese, according to my wife, who watched the surgery. But it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Rocky Balboa." And yes, Willow insisted on dressing like a pirate for our trip out to Birmingham. So there you go. That's the reason of why Tommaso Ciampa is out. He's going to be out of action for a significant amount of time due to that surgery. Here's hoping he can return quickly and healthier and better than ever. We have an update on the NXT ratings for this week, and coming out of Halloween Havoc, it's actually pretty good numbers for the developmental brand. Per Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, NXT drew 716,000 viewers. This is up from the October 18 edition that drew 676,000 viewers. This was the fourth highest total viewership for the program in 2022. In the 18 to 49 demo, Tuesday's show scored a 0.15 rating, which is actually down from the week prior, which scored a 0.18 rating. That point is still difficult. That 18 to 49 demographic is still a struggle point for that brand, and WWE ranks number 16 on cable in the demo for the night as well. Of course, last week went head-to-head with Dynamite in that normal time slot, so it should be expected that they would have had a bit of a bounce back this week, which of course they did. Finally, Sami Zayn has revealed original plans for his storyline with the Bloodline. Of course, it's been one of the most popular things on television recently. And according to Zayn, the angle has evolved beyond what was originally planned by WWE. In an interview with Mirror Sport, Zayn recently revealed that the original plan wasn't long-term. He said, quote, "This is one of the more filled-out long-term stories I've ever been a part of, and it's long even by WWE standards. Usually we might do 2 or 3 month stories, but I've been aligned with the Bloodline in some respects since April, and we're still only kind of scratching the surface as to where this is going to go. The initial idea was just to have some on-screen interactions every now and again because it made sense. As the self-proclaimed locker room leader, I should have a good rapport with the head of the table. So we were kind of cooking up that idea. But as he mentioned, it would continue on, and now Sami Zayn has become one of the most popular aspects of the Bloodline. Now, I've seen some people say, Sami Zayn's going to be the guy to defeat Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Universal Championship. Don't think that's going to be the case, but I do think at some point we are going to get Roman versus Sami, and it's absolutely deserved. And fingers crossed it happens at a big event. So there you go, guys. That's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.